Yeah, I'm gonna call to order the hearing convened tonight, being September 10th, 2025, 6:30 PM. Gonna call to order the Hadley Conservation Commission meeting. First on the agenda is an enforcement order for 300 Venture Way.
So I don't think anybody's here for that, but Richard Alcorn from the Pioneer Valley Chinese Immersion Charter School requested that we extend the deadline for the restoration of the stormwater system at 300 Venture Way until next April, because they expect to be done by December. But just in case anything comes up, might as well give them extra time. So
You don't need to do a roll.
I think we should just vote just to have it on record.
That we're fine with extending it for them?
Yeah, but to extend the deadline for completion of the work required in the enforcement order issued May 30th, 2025 to April 30th, 2026. Once work is complete, the landowner shall notify the Conservation Commission to close out the open enforcement order file. I think that should be the motion.
Okay, so basically, I'll look for a motion to extend the deadline for completion of the work would require the enforcement order issued 5/30/2025 to April 30th, 2026. Once work is completed, the landowner will notify the Conservation Commission to close out the open enforcement order. Do I have a motion, someone?
I'll make that motion.
Brandon makes a motion,
Second it.
second by Gordon. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All voting yes.
All right, so I'll email him.
Oh, okay. Next on the agenda is the notice of intent, 133A Mount Warner Road, Plainville Farm, dual use solar. Who's here to talk to that tonight?
Good evening, Mr. Chair. On Teams here, Sarah Stearns with Beals and Thomas. Can everybody hear me okay?
Yeah.
Let's turn my volume up a little. A little bit, very quiet. With me is my colleague, Matt Cody, professional engineer with Beals and Thomas, and Justin Giloth, representing the applicant Solar Collective. So I'm happy to give an overview of the project if that's the commission's wish, and then we can open it up for questions after that.
Yeah, let's just do a brief overview of the project, sharing the plans, and then we'll talk about what you heard from Mark Stinson and the wetlands violation.
Okay, great.
So we'll do a continuation after that.
Yeah, and is this NHGSP or no?
This is not.
Okay, this one is not NH. Okay.
This is the one that we thought would be pretty straightforward. So this is, as the chair said, 133A Mount Warner Road, Plainville Farm. We were just issued a DEP file number 1700305. This project, and Matt has up on the screen kind of the overview with the aerial showing the underground electric interconnection at from North Maple throughout the property to the rear where the proposed array is sort of tucked behind the buildings. This array is a dual use proposal where the existing vegetable farm would still continue to be farmed. So really no change to what's there beneath the panels. That would continue to keep the farming in motion while creating a renewable energy source. This is designed under the SMART program. There's no energy storage proposed as part of this project. I just wanted to note that. So it's just the array and the interconnection. Overall, it's about 3.5 acres across the almost 20-acre parcel. No tree clearing, no grading, very little site work, if any, just to get the underground trench in. And honestly, that's really it. We have sedimentation controls proposed as part of the construction. The sort of southern half that you see on the overview sheet in front of you is the part that's within the 100-foot buffer zone to that narrow BVW that you see at the bottom there. So it's a buffer zone only project. And that's, kind of where we are in terms of the notice of intent. And should I pause there?
Can you X out the caption so we can see the plans a little bigger? Thanks. Sorry, go ahead.
That's really it. Just wanted to give a sort of a broad overview. It is a relatively straightforward proposal. I know that, this commission has probably seen some of these projects before with the intent is to keep the farm as a farm and offset, some of the costs and help keep the rest of the farm going as well. And then just to Kayla's comment, as part of the file number, we were also given some information from DEP on a mapped wetland change, kind of further to the east, I guess, outside of the project area, but still on the property. So as you can imagine, we're not as familiar with the history of this land, nor is Solar Collective, just sort of being here for this particular project. So I was thinking that it would likely make the most sense for when the commission decides to have a site visit. We'll make sure that the landowner is part of that so he can give the commission a bit more history out here. I did speak with him briefly, and he is aware of the area. He said that it still acts as a swale. It serves as a drainage area for this entire neighborhood. So during high flow events, rain events, snow melt, that whole area, maybe Matt, you can point to it with your cursor, still flows, and you can kind of see that dark green area where water is still conveyed. So I think it's probably going to be most helpful for the commission and for the applicant to speak with the landowner to the potential enforcement issue when we go to visit the site with the commission. So just a suggestion, but I think we'll probably get more information from him about that piece of the DEP comments.
Yeah, and I think getting out to the site would help for context as well. Should I reach out directly to the landowner to schedule the site visit, or do you want to schedule something right now?
I think we can schedule it now. I told him I would just let him know. And I mean, he basically said he's always there. So I think he'll just accommodate whatever the commission schedule is.
Let's see. Let's try sometime in the next week or two. Are there any days that work best for you or for the commission members, or that you definitely can't do? No? Should I just pick a day and we'll see who
Pick a
can
day.
show up?
Pick a day.
Okay, let's see. Let's try next. Does the Friday work? Friday morning? The 19th?
Is that September 19th, Kayla?
All right, now somebody else pick a time.
Morning, I won't be there, so
What time works for you, Brandon?
after 2,
You want to say 3 o'clock?
sure.
3 o'clock?
All right, we'll do Friday the 19th at 3 o'clock.
Great, I'll let them know.
Would you want to also, maybe we could do the other site visit then too for 143?
Yeah, I think that probably makes sense if that works for you all.
That works for me.
So do we want to just do a motion now to continue this one before we go to 143, or do we have any sort of thing to discuss? Do we have to address any letters? Yeah, the kind Mark Stinson, the file number on the page.
The comments I think will be addressed by looking into the activity or the wetlands violation. That's the main one.
Yeah, and
Nice.
yeah, so I can just kind of quickly run through the 3 comments on this project. The first one, as Kayla said, is related to the potential violation. The second one really is just stating that we're not proposing a stormwater management system here because we're really not changing the cover type or adding an impervious area without any grading or tree clearing. So no stormwater maintenance would be needed or conducted. So I don't think there's really any action item with that. And then the third, same thing, there was a comment about agricultural activities beneath the panel, and he was just stating that there's no exemption, which I think is fine because the applicant isn't requesting an exemption. I did email Mark just to clarify that. I didn't hear back from him, but I don't think that either of those two other comments really need any action at this point.
Okay, so why don't you just continue working with Mark Stinson trying to address the other issues?
And we'll, and
For our next meeting,
we'll address them at the site visit as well.
you can do it at the site visit as well, so I'll look for a motion to continue this hearing to Tuesday, October 14th at 6:30 PM.
I'll make that.
Barry makes a motion,
I'll second.
second by Gordon. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Those in favor. Okay, so we're gonna move on to the next notice of intent, 143 Mill Valley Road, Parsons Farm Dual Use Solar. Okay,
Thank you. Again, just for the record, Sarah Stearns and Matt Cody with Beals and Thomas and Justin Giloth with Solar Collective on the line here. This project was also issued a file number 1700306 earlier this week. This project is, similar in nature in terms of its dual use. This is Parsons Farm off of Mill Valley Road, 143 Mill Valley. The interconnection is a little bit a shorter run here out to Mill Valley Road throughout the farm property, underground electric trench. The difference on this one is the array is sort of broken up into 3 sections to primarily avoid any kind of wetland work with sort of some fingers that come off of that Fort River, sort of in the middle of the screen now. This project, in terms of jurisdictional areas, is proposed in buffer zone to BBW associated with the river, as well as riverfront area itself. This is also located in mapped habitat, rare species habitat through Natural Heritage. So we have filed with Natural Heritage as well. We haven't received anything back from them. I'm sure the town will be copied, but we'll make sure to reach out once we hear from them, and we'll send that communication to DEP as well. Same idea. This is a grazing area, sheep grazing, so it would be continued to be used for that beneath and amongst the panels. These dual use panels, as I'm sure you know, are raised at a minimum of 10 feet, and they are tracking panels. So again, just very minimal, if any, site work, really just for the trenching, no grading, tree removal, anything like that, and also no battery storage associated with this project either. The typical erosion and sedimentation control barrier is proposed within the plan set. And that's really it for this one. This is a very large property with the array measuring less than 2 acres. So this is almost a 100-acre property, and the project itself is about 2 acres total. So that's it for this one. This one has a bit more in terms of jurisdiction, and that was sort of the bulk of the comments that we received from DEP. Just communication with Natural Heritage, and then several comments related to riverfront regulatory completing the regulatory review and alternatives analysis. So that's something that we can go through if the commission would like us to, each of his comments, and provide a response that we can send to both the commission and to DEP if that's what you'd like us to do.
I believe we're gonna have you do that, please. Continue.
Great.
Now, does this one include, this doesn't include construction of an access road because you're using an existing access road, right?
Correct, yeah.
Does the other one, I forgot to ask, does that one include construction access road?
No, both of these projects are using existing access roads.
Okay, great.
Thank you for reminding me about that.
I've got a question. So the Conservation Commission, we put a lot of money in towards APR. We put a lot of money into protecting open space, things like that during the course of, of our existence here. And I see all these solar panels going up and, everywhere I go, we have these little signs that say, that shows a little tractor and all open space and the river in the background. I don't see any solar panels on these signs on the side of the road, on these pictures. And I look at this and I see all this roof space that potentially could have solar panels on, and we're eating up all the open space here on this property. That is just, I don't know, I think it's just, it doesn't look right. I mean, why wouldn't, I'm just wondering how come the first options wouldn't be to put these panels on the roofs instead of clogging up open space here that we try to protect all the time? And that's not a question for you, ma'am, I'm sorry, you're. It's just.
I hear you. I hear you.
I'm just asking, I'm bringing this up at the board and, something to think about.
Yeah, and I think that's a good conversation to have, especially in conjunction with the planning board, because they also, I mean, they have the solar siting bylaw. And these projects are also being reviewed by them as well.
Right,
And there are certain, like,
okay,
the state has their own things of what you can and can't restrict in terms of solar.
Yep.
So I think it would be good to have a conversation with them about how the town is gonna approach these projects. Obviously, there's a lot of them and there's probably only gonna be more in the future.
could we set that up?
Yeah, sure. I will, I'll talk to Bill and Jim and I'll connect you.
All right, I mean, the other one, maybe not so much, with the one off Mount Warner Road, I mean, there's not a lot of roof space on that one, just looking at the aerial photos, but this one here, I mean, there's plenty of space here, so I'm just wondering why that wasn't, something like that, why, is that even considered, I guess? Let me ask you that.
I can chime in on one thing. Basically in Massachusetts, there's all different programs that are accessible for different types of lands. And this program in particular is designed to keep the farm active and not retire any portions of the farm. So, it's really up to the landowner in what areas that they're interested and willing to kind of cordon off. And, that all gets worked out sort of early on before the consultant gets involved. So, I think rooftop solar is great. It doesn't work for all buildings. So there's a lot that goes into that. This particular type of project is, part of the SMART program, and that there are incentives for land and agricultural use. And so, that's something that these two landowners were very interested in pursuing on a small portion of their farms. So, I guess it's really a question for the landowner and, what constraints they have, and sort of what the preference is. I also just wanted to note for the commission's interest that we have filed a site plan review application with the planning board for both of these projects, and we are scheduled to have our first hearing on October 7th. So, I think a lot of this stuff will be discussed with them directly if you're interested in attending that or listening into that too.
One of the biggest problems I see with this project is, and like Mark Stinson pointed out, is the placement of the solar panels in the 200-foot riverfront area. Using the guise of a dual farm solar use, where if anybody else was putting up solar panels, they couldn't put them in the 200-foot riverfront zone. So I don't think being a farm, they should be allowed to do it either.
That's true.
Well, I mean,
Well, there's no structures, they're not, if they can be put outside the 200-foot
Oh.
riverfront zone, they're supposed to be put outside the 200-foot riverfront
The
zone.
alternative.
And there's plenty of land there to do that.
Right.
Yeah.
So I don't see how they can be allowed at all within the 200-foot riverfront zone.
And that's where the alternatives analysis comes in.
That's what they're gonna have to work on.
Yeah.
So we're gonna do a site visit the same day, Friday the 19th, after the first one? Sure. So,
That sounds good, but we'll start at Mount Warner?
yep,
Okay.
that gives us enough time to do both of them. So any further discussion, I'm gonna look for a motion if it's all fine with, moving this hearing to October 14th at 6:30 PM after the other one.
I'll make that motion.
Second, Ray, any further discussion? All's in favor?
Aye.
Okay, so that's been moved. And then next up is notice of intent 88 Shep.
Thank you, Sarah.
Thank
Get it,
you.
get it all together,
What? No, the next one is a different.
a different applicant.
Applicant.
Okay, thank you. Next on the agenda is notice of intent 88 Shattuck Road, dual use solar.
Hello. That is us over here. Kelly, can I share this?
You should be able to.
Okay, great.
Nice solar, mate, huh?
So we close.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is it letting you share?
It is, sir.
Okay.
Technical difficulties on my end. Thank you for your patience. My name is Doug Searle. I'm a landscape architect with Berkshire Design Group. We are here also with Jake Marley with Hyperion Systems and Ward Smith, who had done the wetland delineation with Wendell Environmental Services. Hyperion Systems.
I can introduce myself. I'm Jake Marley, the owner operator of Hyperion Systems. We're based in Belchertown, Mass. I was born and raised in Belchertown. We got our start in Amherst, Mass. My late father started it in 2009 with the idea of food first, then energy. He installed the first agrivoltaic array in the U.S. in South Deerfield on Center for Ag, Food, Environment, UMass land. And I'm happy to address, concerns. I think about these topics a lot, having grown up here and seeing how some of these landscapes, Granby in particular, has changed in my lifetime. I'm, one of the younger folks in the room. So happy to address and talk about why we're doing projects like this and that thought. I know that was a lot for an introduction. Thank you for more.
Thank you. I don't know what is happening. Technical difficulties here. Pardon that. I'll have you speak in just a moment. Sheds, what is currently shown on the screen is an aerial photo of 92 Shattuck, which is in the lower southwest corner here. Just behind it is Shattuck Road, and the parcel in question is further to the east behind this hedgerow of trees, which is 88 Shattuck Road. I'm circling my mouse on this area here at 8.5 acre parcel, and it is also the location where the first phase, 2 years ago, first phase was installed on this parcel of a dual use agrivoltaic large scale ground mounted solar system with I believe it was 832 panels in this location. And at that time, Ward had done a delineation in 2020. There's a ditch that runs along the western property bounds, north-south ditch with the forested hedgerow. And there's wetlands that were delineated in there, and then wetlands that were delineated out in the middle of this agricultural field.
And I just want to speak for a minute on the
Yeah,
difference between the delineations. In 2020, I was out there in March, and I told Jake, I said, it was really wet. It was a really wet spring. And I said, it's really hard to read the soils. I'm just going to go by the hydrology. Are you okay with that? Because the project was limited. So I delineated this. I was out there this March, which was not as wet. We were not in a drought at that time. And I just couldn't call this area wet. What you have out here is an agricultural ditch out here that's quite a bit lower than the proper, the site. In my opinion, the area has been drained. And this area, I don't think, even some of this area is questionable as to whether or not it's actually hybrid soils. But I looked off of the site here, this property was not tilled. And there were some wetland plants, particularly soft rush in here. So I matched up the features in the soil that I found there where there were some wetland plants with this plowed area, and came up with that delineation. So we can look at that. Yes.
So are you saying the wetland area that you delineated earlier is drained now?
It wasn't wet when I did it. I was doing it in the spring.
No, in 2020.
I'm saying it's been drained for years.
Okay.
I'm saying when I delineated this, it was a very cautious delineation done in a very wet time of the year. And I told Jake that. I said, I'm doing this I can't really read the soil, so I'm going by the hydrology. So basically, wetland hydrology is 21 days of soil saturation within 12 inches during the growing season. So the growing season is somewhere in April to somewhere in October or early November. So I was there before the growing season, delineate based on observed hydrology. And that was, I consider, a cautious line. I consider this line being more realistic wetland boundary. We can look at that next week when we go out there. I can dig some soil holes. Mark Stinson did have a comment about we're in a drought. Drought is irrelevant for hydric soils. Hydric soils are the features based on the long-term hydrology. It doesn't matter whether we're in a drought. The whole idea of the hydric soils is you can tell what the hydrology is regardless of the time of the year. Right now it's dry anyway. Even if we weren't in a drought, it would be a dry time of the year. So you would dig a hole in a lot of wetlands right now, even if it wasn't a drought, and you wouldn't find any water. Generally, you've got your 21 days of hydrology in May, April, May, the beginning of the growing season when it's the wettest time of the year. So I understand this is a little unusual. I had no idea they were going to plan on expanding anything here. This was enough room for the original project. So I told Jake, I said, this is just a conservative line. And he said, that's fine, we can deal with that. So that's what we did. So that's the difference between those two lines.
So there weren't plans at the time to expand this project?
Not to my knowledge, no.
No, there weren't at the time. And this is the third year growing that Joe, who's online here, has grown underneath and around the solar panels. 2023 was broccoli, 24 was broccoli, and this past year was sweet corn. In all three, when we were going over the planting plan this winter time with researchers, they kind of laughed at us for even attempting to do sweet corn. And it's grown as well as within the array as outside, in my anecdotal viewing opinion. I've had sweet corn from within the solar array, even from the rows that were closest to the solar panels receiving the most shade, on my dinner plate multiple times this late summer. Joe, do you want to speak to how the growing has been the last 2 years and, why it's been thought to maybe do a second or an expansion project at this site? Joe, looks like you might be on mute.
He's muted.
You're still muted.
In the meantime, while Joe's sorting that out, just going to click to the next site to say that not only are there bordering vegetated wetlands that are on site, site is also has NHESP estimated habitat for rare wildlife throughout the entire site, except for the residential parcel in the southwest corner of 92 Shattuck. So we submitted a MESA review also last week. We had submitted a previous, Jake particularly had submitted a MESA checklist for the first phase that was installed, and at the time their determination was that there was no adverse take of wildlife habitat. So we are anticipating that they would have a similar response for this government, but we will obviously wait and see. The next slide is of the proposed condition. The area that's highlighted in the light yellow is the area of the ground-mounted solar array. There's 1,152 panels versus 832 in the previous sites. It's a slightly larger area. When all of these are installed, they are installed, the panels themselves are installed on a rack that has like I-beam posts that are basically hammered into the ground. So there's no concrete footings that are there. It's just the steel of the post itself that goes in the ground. They're installed roughly every 20 feet apart. So there's a very minimal footprint that takes place. And the location that I'm highlighting with the mouse in here, the light blue is the 100-foot buffer. The red line is the 35 no build zone, and then the darker blue line is the revised BBW delineation done this spring that Ward was just speaking about. There are no panels that are proposed in the wetlands nor in the 35-foot no build zone. We are proposing to go just outside that 35-foot no build zone edge. And the amount of posts that are within that 100-foot boundary, to my count, there are 58 posts going in. So these are about less than a 1 foot by 1 foot I-beam. So there's a nominal disturbance that goes in. The type of machinery that's used is no heavier than the tractors and farming equipment that are used regularly through this area. So the disturbance is no greater than in terms of the installation of the array is no greater than the farming equipment that's used regularly for agricultural production. That disturbance area is really the permanent impact would be those posts, but it's all only in the buffer area itself. That large number of 1,060 square feet is 58 square feet for those posts. And then there's an area where the existing farm lane that was improved for the first phase of this, and that the end of that farm lane, a hammerhead, a gravel hammerhead, is proposed just for a turnaround spot for vehicles. There's no parking spaces in this or anything like that because there's really barely any visitors. And the area that held all the mechanical equipment, all the electrical equipment for the first phase, we're proposing to expand that 6 foot chain link fenced area to put in the equipment needed for this second solar array on this site. So in that sense, it's fairly compact. This was also submitted to the planning board for site plan review, a special permit. And we intend on meeting with them. I believe it's October 21st. That was the main gist of it. We had done some visualizations for the planning board, which you can really barely see the expansion of panels given the distance is over 600 feet away from Shattuck Road. And as Jake was mentioning earlier, some photos of the broccoli planting going in under the panels. Bottom left here is winter cover crop. The top left is the installation of seeding in broccoli, and then behind the table with the tablecloth on it with broccoli head is broccoli growing underneath the panels to give you a sense of their height. And then the second set of photos just showing, as Jake was talking about, that corn was being grown this year. Corn not long after being sown and coming up in the lower left corners, a little bit taller, and what it looks like from an aerial standpoint, interspersed with the rows. That the panels are not having any adverse impact on agricultural production. It's certainly a very, very efficient and functional dual use. But I'll bring it back to the proposed plan here. If there's any additional questions about this.
Again, listen, I'll be perfectly honest. I live right around where the bottom texts are on the bottom here. And I have been disgusted by this site since day one that it got installed. I'm very biased against this one. I'm going to probably recuse myself from voting on this thing. But I gotta say, I do not like these things. There's a lot of square footage on the roofs that this farmer owns that can be covered before something like this happens. I'm just not impressed with these at all. I've got to look at this thing in my backyard all the time. Have all the neighbors, have you interviewed neighbors and asked them what they think of this? Because I'm telling you right now, my neighbors aren't happy about this. And I'd love to see what happens with the neighbors on the other project over off of Mount Warner, because that's literally right in their backyards. So,
I have not done an interview with any of the neighbors. I have received testimonial from neighbors. that
Yeah.
have walked their dogs out there and used that access road.
Yeah.
And there have been some really positive, and this is what I was leading into. Some of the positive aspects or responses that I've heard is when we were building the project, as an example, I'd be out there at dusk, 5, 6 p.m. This project, I'm a licensed general contractor.
Mhm.
I'm sure this project going forward, it will permit and will be pulled in my name and my license number.
I'm sure, yeah.
And some of the positive responses were, oh, this is not more residential housing on farmland.
Yeah.
There was a project application, as an example, in the town of Hatfield, that it was a workable site. And we had an interconnection agreement with Eversource, and the neighbors pushed back against it. That site is now 3 house lots. That farmland's gone forever.
Mhm.
And we all need places to live. We all need electricity. We also all need food. To be able to have a multi-purpose, truly functional, generating electricity and crop production, it's a true multi-purpose dual-use site. And it is an aesthetic change. In my view, it's a commitment to our future. Historically, in this valley, pre-1850, we had 5 days above 90 degrees Fahrenheit. This year, we had 27. There's over a 500% increase. By 2050, climate models predict we could have 50 days, 55 days above 90 degrees. That's from July 1st, the middle of August, above 90.
Mhm.
That's where we're headed. And this project, these dual-use renewable energy projects, is decarbonizing our grid and fighting directly against that, while also sustaining our farms and supporting their farm viability. So it's not more house lots on farmland that could support house lots. I consider this a lot. My background is in general contracting construction. Our family built houses on forest land and on farmland. And in 2018, I had a career choice to continue with general contracting or to try to do something to combat climate change. And that's, my driver in this and what's motivated me in my early career.
All right, and you're the guy I want to talk to about this. If you can change my mind, more than happy to talk to you any day of the week.
And it's part of, I could probably do a better job engaging. It's a balance of, do I do or not, do not, where do I cross a line, right?
Right.
I don't live here in town, but
Well, you're
Bay Road.
gonna do business in town, yeah.
I'm off of Bay Road in Beltran.
Yeah.
Jay, can you speak a little bit to the, putting you on the spot here, but,
Yeah.
this is, just through our discussions, like I'm a landscape architect, I'm not an electrical engineer, I'm not a general contractor. And so in the citing of this and laying this out, there's a certain size to an economy of scale that is functional, whereas if this got parsed apart and only could be done per rooftop, and I'm all for every rooftop on the planet being covered in something that is, multifunctional and, not just asphalt shingles, but, energy producing. Don't get me wrong there, just that I understand that it gets more complicated and being able to lay out a large grid of solar, if there's an economic viability model that's sort of at a certain size, it makes it worthwhile too.
And believe me, I mean, listen, we're talking probably a couple of acres worth of solar panels here. I totally understand that we can, maybe Joe doesn't have a couple acres of rooftop farm, but I mean, is there a percentage that can be covered? Is there something that can be covered to save the space? I used to look out in this field and see deer out there all the time grazing. There's nothing out there now. There's no deer out there anymore. There's nothing. They don't want to be out there. So.
I have pictures of deer picking off his broccoli and corn in the past year. Plenty of birds. I think there's studies that.
Yeah, and I'm sure if Steve Sinke was here, I mean, I'm sure he'd be saying, well, what's going to be the impact on the wildlife on this? I mean, now you're covering the whole lot. So it's just further impact on it. So, I mean, I'll leave it there. And listen, I'm on the soapbox here. So we're here for the wetlands for that coverage. So for that little piece. So that's just to let you know.
Yeah, I appreciate you voicing your concern.
Yeah.
That in and of itself. Are there other questions particularly that are related to wards delineation? That any questions immediately? I know we're going to have a site visit. We just got comments today from Mark Sensen from DEP.
And we have to wait too, that's another one of Mark Spencer's comments, we have to wait for natural heritage, so we have to have,
Continuation anyway, so.
we have to
Yeah,
ask for a
we-
continuation.
Yes, we,
So I would try addressing those issues with Mark Stinson and, see if he's happy with it.
Yep.
Answers and
I'll call Mark Stinson specifically against it. I love Mark. I'm just saying the drought and the hydric soils are two different separate issues.
we can schedule a site visit for this project on the 17th. 10 a.m.
19th is
So
what
if
we're
anybody's,
No, this is a different one.
if
So
you're
this is
able to come
Wednesday
to
the
that, if you have particular questions, as Board was saying, then you'd be happy to.
Wednesday the 17th.
Does this fall under National Heritage area?
Yeah, this is
It does?
this is a estimated habitat.
I didn't-
For rare wildlife.
Okay, so we have a
See that
site
one coming.
scheduled for Wednesday the 17th at 10 a.m. on the site, so I'm gonna look for a motion to continue this hearing. After the other two, we just continued, October 14th at 6:30 p.m. A motion?
I'll make the motion.
Amendment's motion, second by, Board seconds it, any further discussion? Hearing those, all in favor, aye.
Aye.
Gonna Go yes, Ray, continue? I voted to continue. Okay, so, okay, we got, continue.
Thank you.
Okay,
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
next on the agenda is an order of conditions extension request for 170-291 file number at 56 River Drive.
And that is, that's my property.
Okay.
And I did send you the initial note. I bought the property in 23. Through my daughter and son-in-law, they worked with you guys to get the initial permission in, I think it was February. Maybe it was February 23. I've got it in the documentation. Everything was cooking along. I sent you a note, but everything was cooking along. The interest rates went sky high. I work full-time. I work half the year in the United States and the other half the year in Europe. So that's why they were doing a fair amount for me. They jumped in, as only my daughter could jump in. And they got all sorts of stick-built things going. And I really kind of backed off to try to figure out what I wanted to do. So the property is up for sale. And I'm also looking for another 3-year extension, with my idea now being that, working with an organization, that's Canadian US at this point, that there would be a crawl space put down, by someone here in the area according to specification, and then a modular would be put on top of that. And nothing that you guys already approved would be changed at all. And in fact, there is a good opportunity that what I take advantage of is less than what you've given me approval for. So I'm glad to answer any questions. Please remember, I'm not one of the professionals, so I'm not gonna be able to get into some of the detail that you've heard so far.
Did we do an extension before?
No.
No.
Oh, we did, so this is the first extension? Okay,
Yeah.
so I don't think we have a problem with it. Any board members have any questions?
No.
Thank you, guys. Thank you.
So we will extend it. The order of conditions was issued on April 5th, 2023.
Okay.
So it would be expiring in 2026.
Okay,
So it's extending it another 3 years would be, April 5th, 2029.
2029.
You're gonna need that much time?
No, no, no. What I'm worried about is, by the time, because I don't know anything about any of this. So I'm also trying to educate myself, and actually I loved what I just listened to. And I was gonna ask some questions, but I don't know what the heck I'm talking about. So anyway, so that my sense is that that's what I came tonight, rather than to dial in or to let you guys take care of it.
We're gonna make a motion to extend it. and-
Okay, good. Okay, good. So I'm trying to learn as much as I
I'm gonna
can.
look for a motion to extend order.
I'll make a motion to extend it to 2029.
Thank you,
Second
guys.
by
Second.
Ray, any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay,
You're
appreciate
all
it.
set.
Appreciate
So
it.
now I will get this document to you. I actually don't know if you have to record the extension. You have to record the extension at the registry?
Oh, it's. Next time you come in the morning.
Yeah, I can find- I'll find out for you.
I'm
Okay.
thinking probably now.
Okay, let me know and I'll be glad
Yeah.
to do.
Okay.
Not a problem.
And then if anything, you can
If
just let
anything,
us
it would just
know.
be a good idea to do it,
Yeah, it
Okay.
can't hurt.
No, no, no.
because things like this do get lost. And people come back looking for a good picture.
Well, that's actually something we're gonna do later, so.
Thanks for the opportunity.
Yep,
Yeah,
absolutely.
thanks for coming.
Okay, while we're doing that, I'm gonna go on to the next agenda item, notice of intent, 170-303, continuation is 347 Russell Street, 7 Brew.
That's us,
Absolutely, good to see you.
Manraj Pramar at 147 High Ridge Drive, Taunton, Connecticut. I guess I can provide just an update from our last meeting. So we had a site visit, I think about 3 weeks ago, with the commission members, where we reviewed the site layout and how it works with the Jiffy Lube adjacent parcel, as well as the MA dock taking that was done. One question was raised that we wanted to follow up here was around maybe a potential isolated wetland that was identified. And I think if Jeff is still on, he could probably comment on that. Yes, he is.
Yeah.
Just a moment here. I also wanted to say that I did have a chance to speak with the Foot River Association, spoke to Brian Yellen as well as Bruce Stedman from that association, and they were certainly open to the idea of working with us where we would, donate to a potential project that benefits the Fort River watershed area. But I think they still wanted to ask questions and make sure the projects that were proposed are, okay with the commission. They may have spoken to you, Kayla, potentially in the
Yeah, I
last couple
spoke to
days.
Bruce Stedman.
Okay,
One thing he mentioned was a potential culvert project that's on Moody Bridge Road, kind of by the town line. And that's something that he needs to have some more conversations about, and also it would involve both towns' DPW directors and their appetite for doing a project like that. But just as an idea of what this could look like if it works out. Yeah. So I think one thing we should discuss tonight is the isolated vegetated wetland, because when we went out there, I think Ray, you brought up that looks like a wetland. They were using the wetland delineation that was approved for the Route 9 reconstruction, which is currently active. But that wasn't flagged on that delineation. So I think, I wish Ward was here. Did Ward go out there?
I think he took off. Plus he's staying with you.
What did you say, Jeff?
Oh, I was hoping Ward would still be there because that would be helpful.
Oh, okay,
Yes.
yeah. I could peek and see if he's maybe just hanging out outside, but
I mean, the long and short of it is he stopped out there briefly to take a look and thought in that particular corner by the Jiffy Lube where the parking lot is that there may be a potential for an isolated wetland. Again, didn't get out, delineate anything, not knowing the full extent of what was being requested. So, just went back to review what was done in what was delineated for the DOT work along Route 9, and that that area had not been delineated. There was an adjacent wetland or area that was delineated sort of closer to the stream. This sort of Z series that you can see here, the A was the wetlands associated with the stream, the culvert, but there was nothing in this corner where the cattails were seeding the field. And so the suspicion and the discussion with Ward is that, again, as similar to a lot of the other discussions going on with some of the DOT work along Route 9, there are some, alterations that have happened that have resulted in, other things. And so the suspicion is that with that sidewalk and the changing of grades, it has trapped water, in this corner that have resulted in another small isolated wetland. But as, Kayla pointed out, this is still all under the existing order. And so how to, procedurally deal with that.
this one, I'm stuck on this one. I'm not sure. I can't imagine that we would just say, oh, it's not flagged on the Route 9 delineation, it doesn't matter. But then again, I'm not exactly sure what the conditions for I'm wondering, for the Route 9 project, do the conditions for approval include a statement that say like the wetland delineations are not complete, or like this does not prove, or this does not fully approve the wetland boundaries? I don't know.
Well, if there's wetlands there now, I mean, why can't we have somebody identify where they are right now and the existing conditions?
Mhm.
We're talking about we're using the DOT
Yeah,
Route
so
9 plans?
well, their order of because when we approve an order of condition, or when we approve wetland delineations, that is the active wetland
Yeah.
delineation that we have like on file for that
Right.
specific
And
area.
then we go out in the field and we find something a
Yeah.
little different here, so I mean, I think there's gotta be some revisions to this. Or, I mean, or have one of their professionals tell us that, no, it's not a wetland that you're seeing, or,
It sounds like it is likely wetlands, right? According to Wordsmith's unofficial.
Right, and I think, I guess from our, just looking at, several of the projects up and down the corridor, there's a lot of sort of unintended consequences that have happened as a result of that road work that have resulted, I think, a combination of the soils and the drainage patterns that, aren't doing exactly what they were doing, pre-construction. And so some of these isolated wetlands have shifted on the site or moved locations, and so the delineation, 6 years later, 5 years later, is going to be, understandably slightly different along this corridor, which has been
So is
developed
that-
over the years. So that's, I guess
If
that's just a
wetland, now, Doesn't that
consideration.
make your project less likely? I mean, it makes it harder to build it? You got wetlands there.
well, you gotta deal with it.
So what he said, if Ward had an unofficial delineation there, I think you need to have an official delineation.
Right.
And see exactly what's there before
We need
you
to get
think
an
about
official
going any
delineation.
further.
Something what's there now.
Because,
I mean, we can't go on plans that were 6 years ago.
no. And yeah, definitely, I'm sure things definitely changed with Route 9 going through it, but until you know for sure what's there, you shouldn't be able to go forward with anything else, I would say. It's my 2 cents.
Don't we still have the riverfront issue too?
On the other side, right?
On what?
The
Yeah, the
riverfront issue?
riverfront issue, that's another.
I think that's the,
But if this is wetland here now, does that make the project harder? Doesn't
Yeah,
help,
that
does it?
well, I mean,
Makes
it's-
No, it definitely wouldn't help.
That's what I'm saying. So we have to,
Until you have an official
I mean,
delineation
we
done.
need, we need,
that's
we need to get an
approved, I don't
official
think you can do
delineation
anything
of
with
it.
them.
whether or not it's harder or not, I mean, you just gotta deal
You
with
need
it.
to know what's there before you even
Right.
show them you're on.
Right.
Okay, so we need to get that taken care of. We're gonna wind up continuing anyways at this point.
I just want to clarify with the commission, part of the challenge with this, with a lot of these properties that abut Route 9, where this road work has been happening for the last 2 or 3 years, is that some of these wetland areas have changed since the properties were originally surveyed and designed. And so, as with this project, this was, designed and engineered, starting a couple of years ago, with the delineation and boundaries that, were understood at the time. And now that, a year or two have passed and grades have changed, that some of these boundaries have shifted. And
So
so,
we need you to get an upgraded delineation of wetlands of the site
But see that,
that you can work with.
and the Route 9 project, I mean, it really was dealing with the drainage structures and the wetlands right around there. I mean, it wasn't dealing with a wetland on the side, next to the sidewalk, somewhere, away from drainage. Route 9, Mass DOT, they were more concerned about the drainage issues there. Yourself, they probably had a narrow focus. They were right there at the pipe, go out, 50, 60 feet, and that's what they're dealing with. They weren't looking down the street. Unfortunately, it's there.
Yeah.
Unfortunately,
I agree. I think the sidewalk, I mean, just to note that the sidewalk that they put in raised the grade along Route 9 in many areas. And we'll talk about this later in another conversation, but it altered the drainage patterns for a lot of parcels along Route 9. And the garden center is going to come up later, but that's the key, that drainage that used to go into Route 9, that used to sheet flow in different locations, has now been channelized and localized in smaller, drainage areas that were not anticipated, I think, in that project overall. So it's resulted in these small pockets, given the soils and the ability to drain, that have now, and all the surrounding vegetation. So, these are all areas that are adjacent to wetlands, riverfront, that had cattails, that have sumac, that have, all sorts of stuff, that I think are just spreading into areas that are, appealing and attractive to that vegetation. And so as soon as they, don't regrade an area or reestablish an area at the fringe of the construction, it results in these localized ponding areas that have attracted cattails. And, so I just offer that as a perspective. And I completely understand. It's the challenge of development along this
Sidewalks
corridor.
on both sides of Route 9. We're gonna see a lot of people walking on those sidewalks on both sides.
I mean,
We
Oh,
get
yeah.
money.
and unfortunately, the conditions are what the conditions are. I mean,
anyways, I would look for a motion to continue this hearing until October 14th as well.
I'll make that motion.
Brad makes a motion, second by
Second, or, you got it.
Gordon. Any further discussion? All's in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Continue. Public comment period. Any public comments? Hearing none, we'll go on to other business. Gardner Supply Center Stormwater Runoff. Who's here for that?
Yes. So, yeah, Jeff Squire from the Berkshire Design Group. Again, with just assisting the Garden Center in trying to, navigate some of the questions and concerns that have come up with respect to runoff off of that parking lot. I would say that we did do a site visit out there with Kayla. I think that was pretty informative. Ironically, I happened to be along that corridor during the storm on Saturday afternoon on a trip to Lowe's, so pulled in and just sort of watched the water patterns and felt quite a bit better about just at least the discussion, and so happy to provide sort of some images from that, as well as just I think extending the conversation before. So these are just some images from my windshield between the wiper blades, just watching the drainage pattern from the parking lot. These are all from within the Garden Center parking lot, looking out to Route 9, which is off in the distance. This is that intersection at Lowe's. But you can see, this is where it is ponding, and in that corner where it always has. That project that came through along Route 9 raised this whole edge of the roadway where there wasn't, this used to just drain out easily across this sort of island here. This raising of that area put a barrier to that, so it ponds a lot more significantly than it used to. But I think in watching that storm event, what was apparent is that there's sort of a little bit of a berm right under where the sign is, and this you can see in this lower corner, and I'll show you another slide. But what I was observing is the ponding to occur in that low area, and as soon as it reached a certain height, it would wrap around the corner and back into Route 9, as it originally did. I know there were some discussions earlier on about, the ability to permit something with DOT to allow stormwater drainage. I think that was, a sort of a pipe dream. We did contact them, reach out. The process was not as simple as folks made it seem to be. And so retaining the existing, drainage patterns was really the goal, and I think this sort of highlighted what the drainage was doing now. This is looking at a drier condition where that sort of ponding occurs. You can see the little bit of a berm underneath this gate, but when they put this sidewalk in, raise this grade here, and put this all this infrastructure work in, it prevented the water from doing what it did previously.
Yeah,
And
hey
part
Jeff, so I've done the same thing. I didn't go out there when it was raining. That picture that you're showing there in the upper left corner there, that's all riprap right there.
That's riprap, right?
It's like a stone in there. Yeah. What is that? What's the purpose of that?
That was a result of the DOT work. I have no idea where that came from.
Okay, and like right on the other side of where your cursor is right now, I think there's a catch basin right there in the street.
Right.
So all that water is like just wrapping around now. It must be going into that catch basin, right?
It is.
Correct.
Okay.
When it reaches a certain heavy velocity.
Yep.
But the bottom line is all that water is going to that corner. It was already going down that bank
It was
before.
going down that bank before, right? Exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
And
So-
what's happening now? I mean, all of this, the erosion and stuff that has been highlighted in some of the other conversations. I have to, admit that is all a result of the DOT work, because this barrier, this wall was never here before. All that water from the roadway, these are prior to, this picture in the upper left-hand corner. but all of that drainage from Route 9 used to get down into this, edge right along that extension where they put the sidewalk. If you go out there and look at how they left this condition, there's a 18-inch drop in elevation that looks like it was cut out with an excavator, and that's how it was left. So I just, again, going back to that previous conversation, I don't disagree that they were concentrated on the drainage areas and making things better, but there are a lot of things that resulted from that project that had unintended consequences to a lot of these, landowners, and it's starting to surface as we get more and more calls. So I just want to highlight that.
So what's the solution? What are we talking about here?
Well, me and Jeff had talked about one of two ways forward. The first is now that it's vegetated and stabilized, because I mean, last year, I think they were still doing Route 9 work in this area. See how the fall and winter go. That's when we have the main problems is, I think, like maybe like late winter, early spring, when it was kind of more like bare. So we can either wait to see how this works out this season.
Why not just rip wrap it all the way down?
Or, well, the other option is to do like a sort of settling basin or something like with riprap, but I don't know. Up to the commission.
What's the DEP gonna allow?
The DEP is gonna say, what is the commission gonna request?
So if they want water quality, are they gonna let that water just run out the parking lot into the brook untreated? You can see how brown it is.
Yeah, we don't want that, but right now the vegetation is working to prevent that. What's gonna happen once the vegetation dies down?
Parking lot should have never been graded that way to begin with. It's all impervious. It's not our problem to solve. And obviously, when it gets so heavy, it's gonna go around the corner onto Route 9, which it's not supposed to do anyways. All drainage is supposed to be kept on site.
This was all permitted under an order of conditions several years ago. It was an improvement to an existing condition. So there at least was, fair amount of review and peer review under the project that they undertook to develop the site or improve the site.
Okay. I don't know what you want us to tell you. It's not our problem to give you a solution for it.
Well, what would the commission like to see? Would the commission like to wait until fall, winter and see if the channel erosion into the stream continues? Or would you like to see some sort of hard solution now?
It's gonna continue. It's gonna keep eroding. The vegetation, you get that amount of water coming off that parking lot going to that corner. There's all that water going to that corner. Yep. The whole parking lot. We're not talking a small parking lot. It's just gonna continue to erode.
It's complaining.
If DOT's not complaining, which I'm shocked they're not, that blows my mind, but if this is all private property, I mean, that's up to them to
And the
figure out what they
washout
wanna
is
do.
on their property, is on the state taking.
This,
If it was me, I would just have gardeners reach out to DOT and say, what
No,
do we
they've
do
had
here?
conversations and it's become just a pointing fingers game.
well,
That's what
they
it
could have worked it out. It's not us to tell them what to do.
Okay,
I mean, I think the Gardner's project was substantially complete prior to Route 9 being reconstructed.
Oh, it was.
Am I wrong?
I'm not sure the exact timeline, maybe Jeff, you know?
I think it was.
Going down there eroding all along, but nobody else complained until the highway got
Right, right,
Okay, now the DET bitching.
yeah.
Let them fight it out.
Cause they just sit on it until we can, it's
We
something.
don't have to
Come
vote
back
on
to
it.
us with something else in the future, if it gets worse or better,
We
let's.
just see what happens.
All right, so
I'm not
basically,
gonna waste a lot of time on this.
what we'll do is we'll keep an eye on the situation and see how the next few months go.
Okay? Let's go on to the next
All right.
business. 156.
Thank you, Jeff.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. So I assume everybody's aware that my wife and I bought the old Bootka farm on 56 River Drive.
we're here to ask you if, yep, I do have copies here again.
Why don't we just walk over there and look at the copy on?
Do that too. Whatever you want to do.
Even if you point away, we can't see over here.
I'll put one here.
Okay.
It's fine.
We might as well stand here and look at it.
So we've got the original old farmhouse in blue. There's a concrete slab area where there was a garage, all the concrete's still intact, then a shed that's intact right here. We'd like to go get a demolition permit because the house is obviously dilapidated. And I'd like to see if we have a total of 1,701 square feet. Remove these two and add a little bit more to the house in that same location.
Okay, where, is there a wetland issue here?
Floodplain.
Floodplain, correct.
The 100 floodplain?
100-year.
Okay.
The driveway would stay the same, the garage would meet the driveway, we have town water, we have town sewer. But just to build to today's codes and stuff, it's not feasible for me to renovate the existing place.
So you're looking
So we have a total of 1,701, and the house with the garage, removing all this other stuff, we're about 1,600 and change, so we're not exceeding anything that's there.
Very less than what?
did you talk to the building inspector?
Not yet, because we know,
He's the one that enforces the FEMA.
Well, no,
Right.
but we're involved in terms of the compensatory storage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he's talking about how much,
I think also is there like a wetland towards the northern end of the property?
So,
Like a
where-
swale?
so you have to elevate the structure?
We're replacing, I'm gonna step in, we're just gonna replace the existing structure. And the only thing we're doing, Gary, is moving it back and moving it over. Only reason we're moving it back is to use the existing driveway. So that there's no excavation for the driveway. Any excavation of the house, the dirt would be taken off
I
site.
don't know where the square footage of all that has anything to do with. This all has to do with compensatory storage.
No, we're just replacing existing structure where it's already there.
Yeah.
It's just the house could be fixed, but it's not worth being fixed. You'd spend more money trying to fix it than trying to.
Yeah.
The only
You
thing
know,
we're concerned with is compensatory storage and floodplain. What's the 100-year flood elevation there?
the 100-year flood elevation is like 127 something, it's not on this.
So it's a foot and a half higher than the lot.
Correct.
So you got, is the house elevated already now? Have you got a basement?
Oh, it's a full
basement.
Full basement, yeah.
Basement's gotta go. New house can't have a basement. You know that?
Yeah, like your place, you got those
You guys, yeah.
Yeah.
Slab
slab
on
on
grade,
grade, slab on grade.
yeah, but you're gonna wanna elevate the house. The living space, the finished floor level has to be above the 100-year flood elevation. I mean, the garage can be in a floodplain. Okay, that's not an issue. It just comes down to compensatory storage, how much dirt you're gonna move around or anything, but if you're not gonna change the grade of anything.
Not just looking to replace what's there and make it cost effective to be, basically get a permit, we could get a permit to tear it down.
So we
I'm
can
only
move
here
on.
just because of the site work.
If you're not changing the grade of the lawn,
We're not touching nothing, anything.
you can demo all you want,
Yeah, that's the big thing right there.
okay?
Exactly.
You're not changing the grades any.
We're not touching the driveway, not
You
touching
can
the
move the
water, not
footprint, you
touching
can
the
footprint as
sewer.
big as you want. You go
As
big,
soon as you start bringing fill in, that's where
No,
the problem.
Not, that's not, so if you look at the thing,
and then as long as you're finished floor elevation, I would go a little bit higher. There was like a half a foot or foot above the 100 foot elevation.
But this is all-
Yes, we go with climate change.
this is all staying the same.
It got next to
Nothing
nothing
going.
going 50 years.
Right.
Nothing's gonna be touched at all, as far as dirt wise goes, any dirt we dug out of the cellar hole,
You have to
we were
fill
gonna
it.
take offsite. Instead of doing, I did one in Hatfield there for Royal Mass a while ago and was 50 feet off behind the school.
Yeah.
We took it all offsite.
Okay.
Everything got loaded with an excavator offsite,
What'd you take offsite?
all the dirt. We did one over by Hatfield.
What dirt we taking out?
No, I'm just saying the last
You
one.
did one in Hatfield.
We did one where we took all the dirt off site, so there was no reason for any silt or anything like that. This is the highest part of the lot. Here, there'd be none. If there's gonna be no basement, then there will be no dirt off site. It's just demo the hole. And the basement's not an issue because the boiler's just so small now you put them in the closet.
You don't have to count for filling in the basement.
No, there's nothing. So just looking to replace what's there, that's all.
Yeah.
Not add any bigger, be less, but
So let me just back up a step then. Pre-existing with the basement, no issues with you guys.
Well, I have one question.
Sure.
Which is to the north of the property, there are wetlands,
yeah,
right?
that's not looking to do anything with that lot.
Is it within 100 feet of any wetlands or streams?
This is existing. No, there's no streams here that I know of.
Well, there's,
Where's the wetlands? Are you over 100 feet away?
I don't know.
I would say you're over
I-
there,
yeah,
yeah.
I
gotta
mean,
be.
I'll share
We're
that.
just jurisdictional within 100 feet of wetlands.
I have no idea
I
about
mean,
that.
that you can't do, we just have to know if there's wetland Only
I
issue.
think this would be like a request for determination.
Do that. Yeah, we got a piece of paper. But it's obvious you're doing all the work, it's that 126, it's the highest part of the property. We put in the house.
Yes, right where it is now. Just want to replace the house rather than try to repair it. Is what we're trying to do.
How's it? There you go.
I'm screen sharing right now the mapped wetlands there, which might be a little bit, off, but
Yep.
this is basically where the wetlands are.
What's the scale?
It's about 100 feet.
Nice.
So we would like to see probably that on a plan. Showing the
Do
setback.
a plan, show existing, show with new house, show that, how far it can be back from the wetlands, that way we got something on file. Cause we jurisdict within 100 feet, the 35 foot is a no build zone, but between 35 and 100, we allow work to be done. You probably have to put a silt barrier or
Yeah,
something.
straw wattles, silt barrier, something like that when you're going in.
From this wetland over that, where
Come that way.
that's going north.
That's north,
Yeah.
that's
It's going north. Can Joey get a copy of that now? So he has it?
Yeah, I can email this to you.
Mhm.
Yeah, I'll send you a direct link. And so do we want to handle this under an RDA?
Yeah.
Okay,
We're just doing this, RDA's cheap and easy.
Right down, absolutely.
Okay.
Okay, so we'll have somebody draw that. This is here, Gary? I just want to make sure. So from here, this is,
Looks like it's over in this area right here.
it's
out
probably.
by Brownfield, so that's it.
That's where it is.
Like I
It's
said,
probably the lowest part.
I'm just looking to see.
120, 118. Coming over here, this might be it right here,
24 coming.
122. We should get that.
Okay. But do you want to go under pre-existing conditions? That's what we're doing, or just to replace it? Yeah, correct.
This is closer than that, but you're still. Yeah.
So show this here, show this here.
Yeah, I mean, you're not getting any closer, so I would just include the calculations for the square footage that you're removing and then the square.
They're on
footage.
See, because you're in the floodplain, we have to do an RDA.
Yeah,
At bare
Makes
minimum.
determination, yeah, simple.
So they can say, you're gonna say there's gonna be no increase in the volume of fill,
Yep.
At the what,
Yep,
yeah, we need to know.
I did one up in comment.
It makes sense, now I think about it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So request determination for the size of, which same thing that's on here. Tells you the size of the house, tells you what's available now, it tells you what's, we're gonna be at
yeah, show the setbacks from the wetlands.
from this piece going north here.
Yeah,
Okay, and you're gonna get a copy of that, so you know, yep, okay. And we'll have that drawn on the plan and then come back in.
okay, and should we do a site visit? You wanna do a site visit?
If you wanna go see it, yeah.
More than
I've seen it
We
100
typically
times.
do that, so I think
Yeah.
we should.
Yeah.
Do we wanna schedule that now or figure it out
If
later?
you're ever down. Yeah, all if
Okay, let's do it now. How about we do 17th while we're doing site visits?
Okay.
On
Get one.
Wednesday, we'll do it right before Shattuck, maybe,
Okay.
9:30? 9:30 AM on Wednesday, September 17th.
You wanna keep that or you want me to keep it?
I'll keep one of these.
Keep one for,
Yeah.
here, we'll keep one.
It'll be a quick one, so we gotta get to Shattuck.
Maybe I should make that one, cause I can't be.
I'll be there. Yeah. 17. We can. Okay.
Snag your pen here real quick.
Joe,
Write that
Joe,
down.
how much you want for rent for that?
The house? Well, it depends what happens, in like a couple weeks.
Other project updates? Caitlin?
I don't have any other project updates, I just have an office update that I'll be out of office from,
9:30 do we say?
October 3rd to
You
the,
said 9:30, right, Kevin?
yeah, 9:30 AM.
Any bills?
No bills.
All right, thank you guys.
Yeah, that's one.
You're gonna get a copy of that? so she
Sure,
knows
well-
what you're-
Just an email it.
Yeah, she, you got it.
All up for a motion for adjournment?
I'll make that motion.
Motion for a second, all in favor, aye.